Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. We're just going to give it one more minute as people come through. Let everyone come in. We're so happy that you're here. Okay, Helene, you'll be able to bring people in
Yes.
and we'll get started. All right, well, good evening, everyone, and welcome. My name is Dr. Jill Krakow-Zincraft, and I really do have the honor of serving as the Interim Executive Director of the National Women's History Alliance. And we're here today because of the vision and persistence of Molly Murphy McGregor, our co-founder, who championed the movement that made Women's History Month a national celebration. Molly believed that women's stories must not only be remembered, but recognized in the very fabric of our nation's history. A legacy that continues to guide us, and it is the reason we gather today. And I'm so grateful to be in community with you to celebrate Women's Equality Day. Your presence reminds us that this day is not about honoring history. It's about continuing the fight for equality and securing a future where women's rights are fully recognized. August 26th, today, marks the certification of the 19th Amendment, when women finally won the right to vote after 72 years of relentless struggle. But let us be clear, this day, today, is a call to action. The right to vote must always be protected, and our work remains unfinished until the ERA amendment is fully ratified and women are guaranteed equality under the law. We cannot honor this day without honoring Congresswoman Bella Abzug, who in 1973 fought to ensure that August 26th would be nationally recognized as Women's Equality Day. Her vision was simple but very powerful, to make sure that the sacrifices, courage, and victories of our foremothers would never be forgotten, and that their struggle would remind us of the unfinished work still before us. And so today we honor those who gave their lives, their freedom, and their safety for the cause of women's suffrage. These women endured imprisonment, hunger strikes, and even brutal assaults, but their determination never wavered. Because of their courage, we stand here today carrying that torch they first lit. And so tonight's program has been designed to bridge the past with the present. You'll see 3 short videos highlighting pivotal leaders in our history: Alice Paul, Fannie Lou Hamer, and Hazel Johnson. And after each video, a contemporary speaker will share their reflections, connecting these powerful stories to the challenges and triumphs of today. Each speaker will introduce themselves, and I promise you are all in for a treat. And we've saved some excitement for the end of our program. We'll spin the wheel to give away 3 beautiful copies of Winning the Vote, The Triumph of the American Women's Suffrage Movement, written by Robert Cooney. This book is considered the definitive visual history of the suffrage movement, and we're thrilled to be able to share it with some of you tonight. And if you don't win a copy, please know they're available for purchase in our online store. And finally, we will be announcing the 2026 Women's History Month theme. We know how much this theme is used by schools, communities, and organizations across the country to plan their celebrations, and we can't wait to share it with you. And before I turn us over to the video, I want to let you know that after the program ends, we'll leave this room open for about 15 minutes. And if you'd like to stay on, ask a question, share your reflections, or simply be in community together, you are welcome to stay. We found that these conversations, staying present and listening and learning from one another, are part of how we move forward together, and they mean so much to all of us. So welcome once again. Let us celebrate, let us reflect, and most importantly, let us recommit ourselves to the ongoing fight for equality, because together we honor the past and we will shape the future. Thank you. Helene, you just have to share it with sound, please.
The fiery activist who devoted her life to fighting for women's rights. Meet Alice Paul. Born to a prominent Quaker family in Mount Laurel, New Jersey in 1885, Alice grew up attending suffrage meetings with her mother, Tacy. After earning her master's degree in sociology from the University of Pennsylvania in 1907, she moved to England to continue her studies. She quickly connected with Britain's rowdy suffragist movement, joining street protests, committing acts of civil disobedience, and even getting arrested for demanding the right to vote. When she returned to America, Alice was determined to bring that energy home. Working with the National American Woman Suffrage Association, she organized a march in Washington, D.C. in 1913 that attracted thousands. Alice believed that lobbying Congress would be the most effective way to win the vote, so in 1916 she formed the National Women's Party with the goal of amending the Constitution. In January 1917, the party took on President Woodrow Wilson, announcing they would begin daily protests outside the White House. The peaceful protesters were met with constant harassment and frequent arrests, but the suffragettes kept showing up. By the fall, dozens of women were imprisoned. Alice, on a hunger strike, endured brutal force feedings. Others were beaten. Faced with a public outcry, federal authorities released the prisoners in late November, and in January 1918, President Wilson urged Congress to pass the suffrage amendment. By 1919, it had been approved by both the House and the Senate, and after state ratification on August 18, 1920, the 19th Amendment became law. Women had finally won the right to vote. Alice moved on to her next challenge, passage of the Equal Rights Amendment, which she wrote herself.
Men and women shall have equal rights throughout the United States and every place subject to its jurisdiction.
The ERA faced strong opposition, and some thought it might even undermine existing protections for women. After being introduced in 1923, it took nearly 50 years for the ERA to pass through Congress, but Alice refused to give up. Alice died in 1977 as the ERA was being voted on by the states, a battle that continues today. In 2020, Virginia became the 38th state to ratify the ERA, almost 100 years after Alice first proposed it. Alice Paul, a lifelong crusader for gender equality.
Hi, my name is Kate Richards, and I'm a junior at the University of California, Davis. I first learned about Alice Paul when I was a junior in high school, working on my Girl Scout Gold Award project. After brainstorming with my mom, I decided to focus my project on the women's suffrage movement, so I wrote a children's book profiling the lives of 19 suffragists, 19 for the 19th Amendment, and I fell in love with all of them. Alice Paul was an amazing woman. She was an incredibly powerful and influential organizer and activist. Alice organized what was actually the first ever March on Washington, where more than 8,000 women of all social classes and from all different states marched down Pennsylvania Avenue. She also organized the first group of people ever to picket the White House. This activism by women was completely unheard of at the time, and it drew widespread national attention. For these women to do what they were doing was so brave. And not only were these revolutionary actions, but they set a critical precedent for future activist movements, one of being seen and heard at the Capitol. Although the women were nonviolent protesters, they were beaten, berated, and even arrested, and Alice was at the heart of it all. While in jail, Alice Paul organized a hunger strike. In response, the women were force-fed, and the process was brutal. Metal contraptions held their mouths open, or rubber tubes ran from their nostrils to their stomachs. If they resisted, men sat on them and restrained them. Alice Paul was force-fed the longest of any suffragist, for 30 days. The treatment ruined her vocal cords. It's just horrifying. When I learned Alice Paul's story for the first time, I was outraged, but even more than that, I was proud. Alice was strong, and what she did was groundbreaking and brave. Alice worked steadfastly even into her 90s. After the 19th Amendment was passed, she drafted and championed the ERA, and she fought for suffrage internationally. As I mentioned, I'm a junior in college, so my peers are all of voting age. But I've met so many young women who don't vote, either because they feel uninformed or they think their voice doesn't matter, but it does. Your vote and your voice do matter, and voting is a way to honor the work and dedication of suffragists who devoted their lives to this cause. When we don't exercise our right to vote, it's as if we're devaluing the work and years of activism of the women that came before us. But the problem is that women all over the country do this unintentionally because they never learn the history. As part of my Gold Award project, I gave presentations at my local elementary schools about suffrage and activism, and the young kids I spoke to were so excited to learn about these interesting women and discover parts of history that were unfamiliar to them. People my own age react the same way. The fight for the right to vote didn't end when the 19th Amendment was passed. It's something that continues to this day, every time our history is shared and every time a woman votes. This is why education is so important. When you learn the richness of this history, it's impossible to take your vote for granted. If Alice could speak today, her last command would be, "We did not win the vote for you to be quiet. We won it so your voice could shake the walls of injustice."
Henry was explaining, and which is what the next witness will explain, Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer.
Mr. Chairman, and to the Credentials Committee, my name is Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer, and I live at 626 East Lafayette Street, Roosevelt, Mississippi, Sunflower County, the home of Senator James O. Eastland and Senator Steny. All of this is on account of we want to register to become first-class citizens. And if the Freedom Democratic Party is not seated now, I question America. Is this America, the land of the free and the home of the brave, where we have to sleep with our telephones off of the hook because our lives be threatened daily, because we want to live as decent human beings in America? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Cynthia Robinson Smith, and I'm a proud board member of the National Women's History Alliance. I hold Fannie Lou Hamer in the highest esteem, knowing the sacrifices that she made to exercise her right to vote and to prepare the way for the rest of us. Because of her, we can. Her courage, conviction, indomitable spirit, and an unshakable faith helped shape me and the women in our family today. In 1962, she learned for the first time that Black people had a constitutional right to vote. That moment changed her life, and it changed our lives as well. Our family is politically and socially conscious thanks to the efforts of my oldest daughter. We stand on the shoulders of giants like Fannie Lou Hamer, my late Aunt Marguerite Robinson, and my mother, Barbara Robinson. Both women mobilized the voters in their communities, helping to elect 3 African-American council members in Elizabeth, New Jersey. Knowing our history compels us to exercise our right to vote and not to take our voting rights for granted. I shudder to think of the brutality Fannie suffered trying to exercise her legal right to register to vote and to help hundreds of others do the same. Fannie Lou was harassed. She was fired from her job. She was kicked out of her home and separated from her family. She was arrested by racist police officers and beaten so severely that she suffered permanent kidney damage, a blood clot behind her eye, and a lifelong limp. She never stopped fighting for her right to vote, however. Today we face a new generation of voter suppression, more subtle but just as dangerous. In the last 2 decades, states have erected barriers to the ballot box like stricter voter ID laws, reduced early voting, aggressive purges of voter rolls, and voter registration limits. Today, Stacey Abrams is standing up to these tactics. After a hard-fought campaign for governor in Georgia, many believed her defeat was a result of, you guessed it, voter suppression. So she acted, founding Fair Fight Action, a national movement that defends our freedom to vote. Her courage reminds us, to protect democracy, we must protect the vote. But this is not a solo effort. It is a growing movement. Young people today are taking the lead, much like they did during the Civil Rights Movement. They gave us the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. They're building new organizations like Run for Something and Run, Vote, Lead to prepare women to not only run for office, but to win. Across the country, they're mobilizing, organizing, and transitioning outrage into power. In closing, I ask you to remember the voice or the words of Fannie Lou Hamer. Nobody's free until everybody's free. And here's Stacey Abrams' call to action. We each have the capacity for more, to be more, to do more, and to imagine more. Thank you.
Continuing our Black History Month that you're doing.
Okay.
It's all about the Black women who have pushed us forward. Joy.
Yes, okay. Not the
Black woman who pushed us forward, but the woman who's going to tell us about the woman
who's... Well, today we honor the mother of environmental justice, Hazel M. Johnson, whose grassroots efforts in the South Side of the 60s Chicago helped launch a global movement. Environmental issues hit close to home for her in more ways than one. She wanted answers about her children's skin and respiratory issues and her husband's sudden death from lung cancer, and found out that her mostly Black neighborhood had the highest cancer rates in the region. Digging deeper, she learned that public housing complex was built on and surrounded by environmental hazards like landfills and chemical factories, which she called, quote unquote, toxic donut. This inspired her lifelong mission to shine a light on the deadly impact environmental racism has on low-income minority communities. So in 1994, President Clinton honored Johnson's organization, People for Community Recovery, as one of America's top environmental groups, a bill to award her with a posthumous Congressional Gold Medal, and it was introduced in 2019. There wouldn't be an environmental justice movement without the tenacious activism of the great Hazel M. Johnson. Good for her.
And don't forget, other people say they're moving Black history. We're giving it to you.
That's right.
You will always see it.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for including me and for spotlighting Hazel Johnson's incredible impact on the environmental justice movement. I'm going to talk about a couple examples of environmental justice and kind of framing it in intersectionality. My name is Emily Torum, and I work at the NYC Department of Health on a website called the Environment and Health Data Portal, where we try to make data about health and the environment easy to understand, access, and use. Next slide, please. Why health and the environment? So, like the previous video was talking about, with higher cancer rates in some neighborhoods and not others, our health is shaped by the environment that we live in. That includes not only the air that we breathe and the water that we drink, it also includes things like policy, socioeconomic circumstances, housing quality, as well as the quality of our streets and our public spaces. Next slide, please. So our portal contains over 200 data sets on these topics, and we understand that making sense of data is often best done through storytelling. Next slide, please. And so to do that, we include stories and features on our website to help explain what the data shows and why. And stories, of course, are very memorable, and that's the reason they're such a great communication tool with these types of issues. Next slide, please. Environmental justice frames all of our work. Environmental justice is a lens through which we look at all of these topics. Exploring the data, we can see how inequities shaped by racist housing policies, such as redlining, neighborhood disinvestment, and other injustices cause disparities in health outcomes. Neighborhoods with higher rates of poverty, for example, may have lower access to high-quality housing. They might also have lower access to air conditioning to handle heat waves, and then also higher rates of heat-related hospitalizations. And this is just one example. Next slide, please. But back to where stories and data meet, I want to talk quickly about a project I worked on with some incredible people that couldn't join us today. Dr. Liv Yoon from University of British Columbia and Dr. Melissa Barber from South Bronx Unite. They're both extremely accomplished in the environmental justice field, so please do check out their work. First, some context. Heat is the deadliest natural disaster in the US. It kills hundreds of New Yorkers each year and also has fatalities in all other parts of the US and the world. And heat is becoming more intense and more frequent across the globe with climate change. This project, Your Heat Story, overlays everyday stories submitted to us in New Yorkers' own words about heat, and it overlays those stories onto maps that show neighborhood level differences in climate, environment, and health data. So to illustrate, you might see a story on this page about someone who's anxious about paying their energy bill from a neighborhood where we can see that the average summertime surface temperature is actually higher than the citywide average. This could be due to a variety of factors like less tree cover, which might be associated with that neighborhood getting less investment and fewer resources. We can also look at heat-related hospitalizations, air conditioning access by percent, vegetative or tree cover, and neighborhood poverty. And by looking at these data layers together with stories that capture the insidious burden of heat, we can contextualize the daily toll of lost sleep, lack of focus, worry about kids, pets, and parents, financial stress, and more. And we can also understand that not everybody has the same resources to be resilient to extreme heat. I've excerpted a story on this slide with a title that just reads, "It's hard to sleep and air conditioning costs too much." And that was the theme from that story, and there's many more. And this story is overlaid onto a map with the percentage of households with air conditioning in New York City, which varies by neighborhood. This is just one example of how powerful data and personal stories are when they're used to support and illustrate the everyday impacts of key environmental and climate justice issues. Please visit our site if you'd like to learn more, and feel free to get in touch if you have questions. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Emily, and to all of our speakers tonight. Before we move into our next segment, we want to take a moment to connect the past with the present. And so this short video offers a really powerful look at history of the women's movement and reminds us how the struggles and victories of yesterday continue to shape the fight for equality today.
I'm not ready to wait 100 or 200 years for things to change. That I think actually that time is neutral. That it can either be used constructively or destructively. That human progress rarely rolls in on inevitability. It is through human dedication and effort that we move forward.
Susan B. Anthony and her followers have won for women the right to vote.
She successfully spanned the Atlantic from Newfoundland to Londonderry, Ireland, the first woman to make the flight solo.
Already unique, the first woman to hold such high office, Prime Minister Indira Gandhi continues the tradition of service to India that is synonymous with the names of Gandhi and Nehru.
Shirley Chisholm, first black woman elected to Congress, becomes the first black woman nominated for president.
With Billie Jean King pushing us, the road ahead will be smoother for women. The future will be brighter for LGBT Americans, and our nation's commitment to equality will be stronger for all.
Women's suffrage is about feminism, but feminism is about fairness.
We will not let them take the rights of women who have fought for so many decades to get to this point where we are at right now.
I think smart, strong women are always considered difficult. You cannot fix the most complicated problems, but you can fight to make them better.
What I would want for you girls is that you don't take no for an answer, because no is just some bullshit word that someone made up.
We are here to raise our voice. We are here to speak for these children and for our rights, for women's rights. We are here to take an action.
Activism works, so I'm telling you to act. We are being betrayed by those in power, and they are failing us. But we will not back down. And if you feel that, then I have some very bad news for you. We will not be silenced because we are the change, and change is coming whether you like it or not.
Thank you, Jill, Emily, Cynthia, and Kate for sharing how this fight must continue. My name is Dan Napolitano. I'm a proud new board member of the National Women's History Alliance. I have also been given the honor of announcing the theme for our next Women's History Month. This March, the National Women's History Alliance will honor the 46th year of nationwide recognition of women's history since the nation first recognized recognition of Women's History Week in 1980. We have chosen a theme in hopes that each community or company, each school or organization may find space to contribute. We need all of your help in putting the Alliance into the National Women's History Alliance. So with that said, the 2026 theme will be Leading the Change, Women Shaping a Sustainable Future. This theme holds dear the spirit of environmental leadership and climate justice, while offering expanded focus to include broader sustainability, innovation, and future-forward advocacy. You tonight are the first audience to hear of the theme, and we hope that you'll join us in sharing this theme widely in the coming months before March. We will begin planning our annual Women's History Month publication, hoping to profile women in the fields of climate activism, environmental science, and land preservation, with special focus on the impact of marginalized and oppressed populations. Furthermore, we will encourage the use of hashtag National Women's History Alliance, just the NWHA 2026, as our shared thread between all of the efforts that unite our diverse educational efforts. We will collaborate with our new youth board, partnering with high school educators to inspire lesson plans. Lastly, we will profile 30 women, one per day throughout March, similar to what you're seeing on your screen here, leaving space on March 8th, International Women's Day, for every community to choose to honor their own local sustainability icon. We will honor leading the change, and we will ask you to lead the change with us. Membership in the National Women's History Alliance and the mission of promoting women's history and advancing gender equity is all of our shared alliance. By joining the NWHA, you are not only supporting our ongoing programs and initiatives, but also contributing to the larger movement that honors the past and works towards a more equitable future. Membership fees are set as a pay-as-you-can, while there is a recommended $50 donation, any contribution, a $5 contribution that you choose to demonstrate that you are in alliance with us. We must never forget the right to vote was not simply given to women, it was won through 72 years of relentless struggle, over 900 campaigns, countless sacrifices, arrests, and even lives lost. As Carrie Chapman Catt reminded us, generations of women fought so that one word, male, could finally be struck from the Constitution. When Congresswoman Bella Abzug secured Women's Equality Day in 1973, she made it clear the 19th Amendment was just the beginning. Our responsibility is to finish the work. That means defending the right to vote against today's threats, including legislation that could silence millions of women through unnecessary restrictions. It means standing strong for the Equal Rights Amendment, first introduced by Alice Paul over 100 years ago. Today, we honor the past, but we also protect the present and fight for the future. Use your vote, defend it, share these stories. Keep the flame of progress burning. On behalf of the National Women's History Alliance, thank you for joining us. It's going to be one surprise spin of the wheel in a minute. So we hope you stay connected to us. We hope you stay after for discussion, and we hope that we continue moving forward together. And with that, it is time to spin the wheel for prizes. So you will see, as a participant joining us here today, you'll see your name somewhere on there. And don't get too dizzy as we spin it, following your name. And the first book is, it looks like it's going to be Diana Gonzalez. Diana Gonzalez? Oh, the crowd's applause is deafening. So we will make sure that we get your address. We'll email you and send you the book. The second book of 3 books is going to Yvette Buello. So congratulations, second book. And our third book That's a big spin. There we go. Oh, Becky just got it. Becky Schulberg. All right, so we have 3 books going out to folks that have been watching us. And I'm going to turn it back over to Jill to engage in any conversation.